Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever noticed how some things just fit together perfectly? Like a lock and a key? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. This incredible connection between two short but super powerful chapters of the Quran. We're going to see how one of them describes a really deep human problem, and the other one comes right along and presents its very practical solution.
So, let's start with a big question, one we've all probably thought about at some point. Is being wealthy a sign that God's happy with you? And on the flip side, when you're struggling financially, does that mean you've been, humiliated or abandoned? It's a really common way to think, but as we'll see, the Quran suggests there's a much deeper way to look at it.
And what's amazing is that the Quran tackles this exact mindset head-on in two chapters that come right after one another. We're talking about Surah Al-Fajr, which is chapter 89, and Surah Al-Balad, chapter 90. You can think of it like this. The first chapter tells you what's wrong. It diagnoses the spiritual sickness. And the second one, it gives you the cure.
Okay, so let's get into it. First up, the diagnosis. Surah Al-Fajr really lays out this super common, but, pretty flawed way we tend to look at life's ups and downs.
So this surah paints this picture of a person, right? When things are good, when they're blessed with wealth, they immediately go, my Lord has honored me. But then, the moment things get tight, when their provision is restricted, their first thought is, my Lord has humiliated me. See that? They're tying their material status directly to what they think God feels about them.
And right here is where the whole thing turns on its head. The chapter basically shouts, no, that's not it at all. The real issue isn't whether you're rich or poor. That's just the test. The real problem, the place where you actually succeed or fail, is in how you behave. It's all about your actions.
And it doesn't just leave it there, it gets super specific. The true moral failings? Things like neglecting the most vulnerable people around you, not creating a culture where people encourage each other to help out, greedily consuming resources, and just loving wealth for its own sake, with this huge, overwhelming love. That is the sickness of the soul it's talking about.
And the stakes here are massive. The surah even points to these huge, powerful civilizations from the past that were totally destroyed. And why? It wasn't because they lacked power or wealth, but because they became morally corrupt, because they completely lost sight of social justice.
Okay, so right after laying out this whole problem in chapter 89, the very next chapter, number 90, Surah Al-Balad, comes in with the cure. It offers this really practical path to what genuine honor actually looks like. And it kicks off with this really foundational truth, that we as human beings were created for kabad. What's that mean? It means toil, struggle. The idea is that our default setting in this life isn't ease and comfort. It's an arena of challenges and tests and effort. Just understanding that one idea, man, it completely reframes how you look at everything.
Okay, so if life is meant to be a struggle, then how in the world do you win? How do you pass this test and achieve that real success, that honor that has absolutely nothing to do with your bank account?
This is where we get this incredible metaphor, Al-Aqaba, which literally means the steep path. Think about that. It's not the easy road, right? It's an uphill climb. It's going to take real effort and sacrifice. But, and this is the key, the chapter tells us this is the only way to find true nobility.
And what's so powerful is that climbing this steep path isn't some vague, abstract idea. Nope. The Quran defines it with super concrete, totally selfless actions. Freeing someone from bondage, feeding the hungry during a crisis, taking care of an orphan who's also family, and helping someone who's just hit rock bottom. All right, this is the moment where it all clicks into place. Let's look at the beautiful symmetry here. How does the solution in Surah Al-Balad perfectly cure the sickness diagnosed back in Surah Al-Fajr?
Check this out. The connection is just so clear and direct. Surah Al-Fajr calls people out for not being kind to orphans. And what does Surah Al-Balad say to do? Take care of an orphan. Al-Fajr points out the failure of not encouraging people to feed the poor. And Al-Balad's instruction? Go feed a person in misery. It's like a doctor writing a prescription that perfectly matches the illness.
So when you boil it all down, the problem is this selfish, me-first, materialistic mindset. And the cure? It's to actively, consciously break out of that bubble through these deliberate, selfless acts of justice and compassion. And why? Because these actions force you to look outside yourself. They shatter that selfish cycle of accumulation and replace it with a totally liberating one, the cycle of contribution.
Okay, let's circle back for a second. Remember Surah Al-Fajr, the one that pointed out the problem? Well, it actually ends with this beautiful, beautiful promise. It's an invitation to what's called the Nafs al-Mudma'inna, the reassured, the totally content and peaceful soul to come home, to enter paradise.
And that is how these two chapters create this perfect, closed loop. The hard work, the difficult, selfless actions of climbing the steep path in Surah Al-Balad, that's the exact way you get to that ultimate state of peace, the reassured soul that's promised at the end of Surah Al-Fajr. The problem and the solution are just perfectly woven together.
So, you might be thinking, okay, that's a neat connection, but why does it matter to me today? Well, its message is completely timeless because, let's be honest, the human condition it's describing hasn't changed one bit.
The big takeaway here is a total rethink of what success and honor even mean. It's about shifting our focus from what we can get to what we can give. It's arguing that our real worth, it isn't measured by what's in our wallet or what our job title is. It's measured by our active compassion, by our sense of responsibility for the people around us.
And that really leaves us with a pretty big question to sit with, doesn't it? The language might speak of freeing slaves and feeding during famine, but the core principle is universal. So for us, right now, in our modern world with all its crazy, complex challenges, what does climbing your steep path look like? What are the difficult, selfless things we need to be doing to truly earn our honor?